Well, I've got lots of celery plants, and I've been harvesting off of these celery plants for, months now. And it's getting to be, so it's August, and they're getting to the point where they start drying out pretty quick, and I start losing some. So I decided to come out today and harvest a bunch of these. Now there's a couple things I did. Hopefully you can see this because I can't see the screen right now. But over here I put a cup around it to help the celery grow upwards. I was hoping kind of there would be some blanching effect, but what I've realized is with my celery, my celery doesn't grow like the celery in the store. It doesn't look like the celery in the store, so I need to go somewhere where they grow that celery in the store. And I see that because my stalks, they get big, but they're not big and white like the celery in the store. Now it could be because I'm not giving them enough water. It could be that I got too many pieces of celery in here because I'm greedy with my space, and so I want to have a lot of celery growing, because when I started the celery this spring, I had tried it for many years, and I couldn't get the celery to grow till I was watching M.I. Gardener, and M.I. Gardener said that celery needed light to germinate. So put your seeds on top of the soil. So that's what I started doing, and wound up with 30 some celery plants. So when I was giving away tomato plants this spring, I gave away a bunch of celery. So hopefully the people who got celery plants from me did very well with their celery. And I mean, this isn't the only celery that I have. I mean, this is three different pots with celery in it. I've got celery in the raised beds. I got 4 of those. I've got 3 celeries in some other pots. So I've got celery all over the place. But unfortunately, this celery had a couple times where I didn't get out here and get it watered. But right now, I'm going to get enough that I am going to, and I've harvested off of this celery quite a bit. I mean, this is like celery that has been harvested off of. All I do is take the outer leaves and harvest from it. But this celery that I'm getting today, we are going to dehydrate this celery. I'm going to chop it up, put it in the dehydrator, and get it so that in the fall or winter, when I am making soups or stews, I'm going to have lots of celery. Alright, so I got quite a few dead leaves. This one is just going to go in, because a lot of my stuff I just throw right back on the ground. Yeah, here's a nice big one, but it was starting to dry out. And I also use all the leaves. I dry the leaves too. The leaves are just as good in food as the main stalk. Yeah, I'm really cutting this back. See what happens with the celery. These celery stalks. I've got some really tiny ones coming out here. I'm just going to cut them back. Alright, I think that is enough for now. Well, I can come off of some of these others because they're hanging out. They've gotten really long. So we're just going to take them. All right. I think that's enough. More long ones that are hanging down. All right. I think that's enough as far as celery is concerned. All right. I'm back in the house after harvesting the celery. So now I've got, you can hear the water running. I'm soaking the celery in some nice water. I'm not using soapy water this time. I did check through the celery. I didn't see any insects, but whoops, I'm right up on the camera. Sorry about that. I didn't see any insects, and so I said, okay, they should be pretty good, and I shouldn't have a problem with dealing with insects and that kind of stuff. So washing those out, washing them up. I did also harvest a bunch of basil, so I got that washed first. I'm going to make my own version of Spanish rice, and yeah, I plan to record that too and show you how I make my own version of Spanish rice. But right now, this is what I'm doing. Washing up my celery and getting it all done. And then when we do that, excuse me, we're going to get through the process of getting it all chopped up and getting it ready to go in the dehydrator. Now, I mentioned when I was getting ready to go to work yesterday, because I recorded that front end yesterday when I was on my way to work, that I was going to be using my power air fryer oven, so I'm going to show you that. Then I went out in the garage and got my Excalibur dehydrator that I've had since the late 70s. I knew it's late 70s because I bought it after I had gotten married. So I had gotten married in 76, so this had to have bought it like in 78, I think it was. We had a good thing. And then in Pennsylvania, let me tell you, let me go down like this. So in Pennsylvania, they're a real farmer's market. I mean, Texas has some farmer's markets, but Pennsylvania, I would wind up buying bushels of collard greens, or I'd buy a bushel of string beans. And so freezing them, drying them, you know, getting them done is fantastic. So, but farmers markets here isn't like that. I also harvested some more peppers, so they're going off because they're fresh. So I mentioned yesterday that I was going to be doing the peppers that I have. Those I'm going to hold off for a little bit. But right here, and as I'm washing this, I'm looking, and no bugs. Nothing's floating other than celery. Now, be aware that the celery that I grow is nothing, well, it's called tall Utah celery. And I truly expected to get branches and stalks like I saw in the store. And I haven't done that, haven't gotten that. So I had to do a little bit of research for myself to say, well, why am I not getting big, thick branches like they do in the store? Let me pull this. Let's see. There we go. All right, so why aren't I getting it like in the store? And it was like, well, Bev, celery grows in a marsh area or high water content area. So I pretty much realized that I wasn't giving my celery enough water, that I need to put them in a situation where they get tons and tons and tons of water. Well, I haven't done that. And so I've got small branches. So as I'm giving away tons of celery, I tell people don't use it as in celery that you put cream cheese on or peanut butter, because the stalks aren't the same. They are not the same. And I got one that's got kind of brown stuff in the middle. Let's take care of that. Which one are you? Okay, so, but this celery is wonderful to cook with, to put in my soups and my stews and put on my beef roasts. And, you know, one thing I learned about even using celery from the store is that the leaves are edible too. A lot of people throw away the leaves. I chop up the leaves and put them in my salads and in my veggies, right? I mean, don't throw away the leaf part of the celery. It's not just the stalks that you're using, all right? So, yep. So this is what I'm doing. I'm chopping these up, taking quite a few, taking off the parts that were dying on me and putting them off. They'll go out in the compost pile or on top of one of the pots. I kind of compost in place. I can bury them in the pots with other things. Okay. So I'm going to finish chopping these up and getting them ready for the dehydrator. I think these are going to go in the Excalibur because the Excalibur has, what do I want to say? Let me pull one for you. So that I had them in the drainage rack getting drained. So, okay, that's upside down. So it has this, and I can put them on easily. They won't fall through. On the Power XL, the poles are a little bit further apart, but I've dried celery in the Power XL. But this is going to work for my celery this time. Put it back in the drain rack so it dries. And I'm going to get these finished chopped up, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've gotten the celery all chopped up and ready to go. I didn't chop it up really fine because as you dry vegetables, they shrink. You know, that's why dried herbs and things, if it says 2 tablespoons fresh, it's only 1 tablespoon if it's dried. So this is my old Excalibur, all faded, plastic, the color has changed. But what I do is I'm just going to spread this on here and, you know, I'll give it some space, but I'm going to come back. I don't want it too high because there's not that much room between the racks. And yes, there's some space here for the air to circulate, but I'm putting it on kind of thick because, a couple brown spots, I'm going to come back in and redistribute after a while. So, and with these, one of the things with the power air fryer oven, when you set it for dehydrate, it puts it at 90 degrees. And if you weren't a person who had dehydrated before and have an idea of what the temperature is that you're supposed to dehydrate, I found a couple little brown ones that I missed. Anyway, so if you don't know the temperature, then you're going to assume that it's 90 degrees. But for vegetables, it's different. So thankfully I had the Excalibur here that has a dial right up here on the top. And what it says for me, it says vegetables, 125 degrees. Fruits and leathers is 135 degrees. Meat, fish, and jerky, if you were going to do that, is 145 degrees. 95 degrees is for herbs. So if I'm going to be drying my basil or my oregano, then it's going to be at 95 degrees. And 105 degrees, which my daughter used this for a long time, and so did I before I decided to start putting it in the microwave, it's 105 degrees for rising bread. Alright? I mean, you can rise bread in the oven. You just turn on the oven light and it'll get to about 105 degrees for rice. In cooking school, we did it actually at a little over 80 degrees, 85 degrees. It was really lower than 105, I think, because we had a proofing box, you know, commercials, you know, things. They got big fancy things which are called proofing boxes. All right, I think that's going to be good. All right, so yeah, gotta mash it down a little bit because of space. Okay, there we go. All right, so I've got all 4 of those racks done. Put the cover on. Come on. Let's get you done. So now it's closed up. Now, like I said, this is an old Excalibur. They are made a little different. I'll put a link in the description to some Excaliburs over on Amazon. And please understand, if you buy through that link, I get a little bit, not much, but I get a little bit as a referrer to that particular one. So I'll give you the link to the Excaliburs or other, you know, dehydrators if you want. But my power oven, I've done that before. I think there's a link to it also. And it appears that I'm not going to get all of these here, and that also means that I'm not going to cut up my peppers tonight to put in the dehydration spots. So we're going to do the celery first, and then we'll come back after the celery is done and I will do the peppers. And the peppers, there aren't as many, so they might just take up the space in the Excalibur. Put some more at the base. Got all these leaves, so I'll put some more at the base here. Okay, so okay, so now I've got those all in. That's my hands up here. Okay, So I got them all in. So let's get a little closer. Come in. There you go. So this is my power oven. This little thing is for, see, 90 degrees. I'm going to take it up to 125. And the default is 4 hours, but I've learned that I need 6 hours on this. So it's automatically started. And so for my, let's get over here, for my Excalibur, I've set it on, see if we can get it, 125 degrees for vegetables. Put you back up on your tripod. Okay, and so I'm gonna come back here and hit the switch, and hopefully I don't blow a fuse because they're both on the same one. Okay, so now we've got the power air fryer oven going, and I've got my Excalibur going, and so I'll be back when they're dry. I still have a bunch left, so hopefully after I do my peppers, when this is done and I do my peppers, then I will be able to finish these. I'll put these in a plastic bag for now, and then I will get ready to do my peppers. Alright, this is the basil. And I've dried basil before, so I'm just putting it in this container. And I'm putting my basil in here. Now, most of this basil has been crushed, but I'm just going to, see, listen, isn't it? So it's really dry. Now, the basil I wound up doing for 5 hours. And I had to put it on after the celery was finished. It was still a little damp, so so total of 5 hours. Celery was 4 hours, and then I did the basil another hour, no, another 2 hours to make sure it was dry. Now, it might have taken only an hour, but I just turned it on. This doesn't have a timer, so I just came back about 2 hours later and checked it, and put that down in there. Checked it, and it was super dry. So that's using my Excalibur. Now, you know, I don't think they make this version anymore. Here's some more basil on the top. I don't think they make this version of the Excalibur because, remember, I told you about this in 1978, 79, somewhere in there. But this is my basil leaves. I close it up, put it in a cupboard. Now that I'm sure that the celery is, listen, nice and dry, I kind of left this lid off for a while, and I came and tossed this to make sure there was no water. I mean, I dried it for quite a while, but after my lesson on that other one, I'm making sure it's dry. So it's going in this drawer. It's dated of when I dried it, and this should fill it up. I mean, this will fill it up, so I'll come back when I'm finished. Okay, I'm back. So it pretty much filled this. I haven't had to, you know, I still have room if I wanted to push some down, but got the date on here, what it is, and I am putting the lid on. Right, I'm going to put some space in there, and that is my dried celery. So far we've dried basil, we dried celery, and we dried peppers. And I just was thinking about this when I did this, and I have tons of rosemary outside. But when I bring the rosemary in, I just hang it up and let it dry, and you know, and then I want, you know, it's like, what do you call the rosemary tines, whatever it is for on the rosemary? I just take the stem and run it down, and they just fall off into the location, and then I put it in a jar. Hold on a second. Actually, I never took the label off there. What was in here? Blackberry cobbler filling. But in here is, let's see if you can see. Hopefully the light does it. Hey, the smart thing to do. Take the lid off. That's my rosemary. And if I want to grind it up, I'll put it in the coffee grinder, or I'll put it in the mortar pestle thing to grind it up and make it smaller. That's my rosemary. Not a good label, is it? Oh, I'll put some tape across it like I did that. Anyway, so rosemary, celery, basil, and the peppers are already in the freezer, right? So anyway, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell button. If you are a subscriber, yes, make sure you hit that thumbs up and share. All of you, share the video with somebody you know that might benefit from the way I teach things. I know there's others who are very structured and they've got a classroom type thing, and I go, yeah, that's cool, but I'm teaching you like I teach my daughter, like I taught my son. You know, here, this is what I'm doing. You want to know a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and this is what we do. So they grew up seeing me dehydrate food. You know, what I got when things were abundant. Oh, by the way, I need to share something else with you before I go away. Ooh, let me go over here to my stove and let me figure out how I'm going to lower this. Yep. And then, I know, Beverly, what are you doing? I know there's shade and everything, but I'm going to, let's see if I can pull it up a little bit more. Pull it up. Let's see if it shows you. Yeah, it does show you. In the shade, dehydrate. There's a dehydrate button on there. I never thought about it. There's a proofing bread on there, and there's a slow cooking on my stove. This is a Samsung that lost some of its letters. But I found out, I took a look, I said, let me take a look, because I'm telling everybody that if you don't have a dehydrator, to see if your oven will do it. Well, I don't know if your oven will do it, because when I bought this one, I bought it for the convection oven control, and there's a steam clean and self clean, so there's stuff. So check your okay, my voice is going. Check your oven and see if you've got a dehydrate button. If you do, tell me about it below. Or if you've tried dehydrating in the oven, how low does your oven go? And have you tried dehydrating in the microwave? They tell me you can do that. I've just never done that. Okay. Again, this is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so, and I will see you in the next video.